The game is not about competition. That's a very easy view of the world, but there's one job at the top that we're all fighting to get to the top of some pyramid. Once you escape from that view of the world, you understand that we all have separate things that we're trying to accomplish, and there are multiple tasks that we can pick to do that way.
You're listening to the AZREIA Show. If you're looking for quality real estate investing information that you can trust, you've found it. Stay tuned and join the tens of thousands of members that have already benefited from AZREIA, your home for education, market information, support, and networking opportunities that will advance your real estate investing career.
Hello, Arizona and our AZREIA family. Welcome to another episode of the AZREIA Show. On today, we have a very special guest, Leo Scott. And before we get to Leo, I always have to do a check-in. So, Mike, checking in. How you doing today?
Great. Thank you for having me, Marcus.
Great. We're still trying to ramp up that energy, guys. You guys need to go on our Instagram or our Facebook and tell Mike you need to ramp up his energy some. Yeah, that's what we need to do. All right. So we have Leo Scott. Leo has been here in the Valley forever. He's been teaching Cashflow 101. I actually met Leo maybe 10 years ago. He hosted it at ASU. And I know, Mike, you know him a lot longer.
Same thing.
Same thing? Okay.
Yeah.
from Cashflow 101. So what we wanted to do today is have Leo on. So we're going to talk about Cash 101. And basically what that is a board game to help you get started to understand the concepts of investing and how to look at money and how to train, how to change your mindset around working. So I'm not going to dig into the nuts and bolts. I'll let Leo do that and Mike, and we're just going to have a conversation about that. So if you're a new investor and you're looking to get started and you're definitely interested in investing, be it crypto, real estate, businesses, whatever it is, Cashflow 101 is a great place to get started. And we can't mention Cashflow without mentioning Robert Kiyosaki, the person that created it. So, Leo, how you doing, sir? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, I got involved in the Robert Kiyosaki and his books when the dot-com collapse happened. For the first time, I was looking at and saying, yeah, there aren't 3 recruiters waiting for me outside the door. Maybe I should look for more than just an employee kind of existence. And I discovered Robert Kiyosaki's book, read through them, and then I discovered that he had put together a game, a simulation of investing called the Cashflow 101, and got involved with that myself. I purchased this at that time quite expensive game to
What was it?
practice. It was $200 for a game when it was originally released. They've dropped it down since then.
He did that for a reason.
On purpose, both sides of things for you to understand that it's a valuable thing for you to be looking at, but also the psychology that people only value stuff they pay for.
Yep.
That free advice people think is worth free. And so yes, I got involved with that, and eventually, after a couple of years of doing it myself with my friends and other people that were interested, discovered the idea of people having cash flow events and got associated, went to a number, but got associated with the Alpha Cash Flow group that's up on the meetup organization. And as part of that, they were founded through partnering with Robert Kiyosaki to put together cash flow groups that could have some connection to the cash flow organization, the Robert's organization. And so early on, I got to lead some events for Robert associated with cash flow activities, and also got to meet some of his advisors through the local office, the headquarters that's in Scottsdale. So I can't claim Robert as my friend on any kind of level, but I have rubbed shoulders with him a couple of times. Over the years, they've drifted away from wanting to have any type of direct setup with the cash flow organizations. I think they mostly just wanted to get them going as far as setup. So don't have any active participation with the Rich Dad organization at this point, but it was quite interesting to see that. The value of the cash flow is that it's the difference between reading about something and doing it. That the part of what Robert was after in all of these things is to give you an opportunity to change how you see the world, how you relate to money. And it's tremendously easy. I was guilty of it. I could have quoted you Robert's books at the point I started playing cash flow, but I noticed that when I actually played the game and it came down to me making decisions, even with pretend money, I was still acting like an employee. I still had, but while I could say the words, I wasn't taking the actions.
Right.
And this is what cash flow allows you to do. The same reason that out at Luke Air Force Base, they're paying $10 million for the pilots to play video games is that it's entirely different to be there in the moment, having the opportunity to apply the idea and make something happen. So even in simulation, even in this thing that is not entirely real, you'll very much see people act out their behaviors that are getting in their way of being active as investors. And by stepping through it, you'll see people take more and more of, oh, well, yeah, I'll at least try that here and see how it works out, because that is both the simulator setup and that the military does, and the cash flow is it gives you a chance to try out ideas, see whether they're good and bad, and it costs you no money out of your pocket. You didn't have to put any real money at risk to try out ideas.
So a lot of things there, right? So one, so I think, from playing the game with you and everything through the years, what I noticed is, okay, first before I go to that question, let's explain the game. Right? You got to get out of the rat race. Let's explain.
So wait, Leo, let me jump in there. Let me go back even a little further before we explain the game. The whole concept is you have 4 quadrants. You have 4 individuals. You have the employee, which have an employee mindset, the business owner that has the business mindset, the self-employed, and the investor. Correct. So there's 4 different types of mindsets when it comes to money, and you have to identify which mindsets you are. And what this game does is help you to move from one quadrant to the next. So wanted to give that foundation.
Yes, Robert Kiyosaki's second book was Cashflow Quadrants, and what he looked at, we can all potentially be in any of those quadrants, but they are worldviews. They are, how do we act when we are given a certain thing? The E side, the E quadrant of employees are people that mindset is about scarcity, about avoiding risk without thinking about reward. It's all about competition. Everything has to be win-lose. Versus the right side of the cash flow quadrant, the B and the I, business and investment, are about the idea that the money exists everywhere. If you find a good deal, the money is available to create the deal. So an abundance kind of seeing the world. And similarly, the idea on the I side is around the premise that you are looking for your money to be doing the work for you as opposed to you trading your hours for dollars. Your money should be, all of the richest man in Babylon should be making more golden slaves to make more golden slaves to
exactly.
work for you. And so, yes, those are the mindsets that Robert created the game as a way for you to test out, transitioning from one of those ways of seeing the world. Within that setup, the basic part of what Robert created is an inner game and an outer game. The inner part of the game is about getting out of the e-world, which for Robert, the way to judge that is whether your passive income, the income you make as mailbox money, but that does not take you trading hours for dollars directly, that money should pay all your bills.
Right.
That's Robert's idea of what it means to start at being wealthy, at being rich.
So real quick, Leo, so that E quadrant, like we said, is the employee. So most people, they always say, man, I want to get out of my 9 to 5. I want to work for myself, or I want the mailbox money, the passive income. So that's that E quadrant. And it takes a shift in the mindset, like you said, to see how can I have my golden nuggets, my dollars, go out and bring in more dollars versus me going to work to bring in more dollars.
Great points.
Right. Yes, exactly. And it's that transition to even understand that that's possible.
Exactly.
Is a part of it. Often people will see that is happening to others, but think that it's luck, that a dollar fairy has sprinkled luck on them, and that's how it happened. But
dollar pixie
part
dust.
of the part of the game lets you, in a simplified but real version of things like deal analysis and deciding about risk and reward, to take those steps that are different from how you act as an E. You have somebody provide you a job version of things where the world controls you, moving into a situation where you control the world, where you are taking action to make deals occur. There are plenty of opportunities, and that is one of the kinds of cards that are in the game, are these opportunities that you get to practice analyzing them, because the other mindset shift is to move from the school kind of thing of there's a right answer and everything else is wrong and you can stand in the corner if you don't get the right one, to understanding that there are the answers that are right for you. The exact same thing may not be a good deal for the next guy. So you need to really understand your strategy. What are you trying to accomplish? And that's part of what the game lets you do, is that there are lots and lots of different kinds of deals that, depending on what your strategy is, you would say, oh, this is valuable. And for the next person in the game, they might pull that thing and think it's terrible. And now you have an opportunity to practice the other value of the game of negotiating for deals.
So we're getting into it now. So let's go back into overarching, like what the game is, right? What's the objective of the game?
So the overall objective is to get out of the rat race as the first part, the inner game.
What's the rat race?
So within the game, there's a inner circle that you roll a dice to move around, and there are different kinds of cards that you call and get to opportunity to do things with deals. There are markets cards that tell you what the marketplace is doing, so that because you have the ability to think about both cash flow and capital gain. So you're looking at either flipping an asset or you're looking at it making, or both in terms of why you're holding an asset. There are also doodads.
Wait, real quick, Leo. So the rat race is basically getting out of that 9 to 5, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So you're working your way around the board to leave that 9 to 5, that job,
right,
so you can be either an investor or business owner.
correct.
You get to pick out, like, you get a job, everything from janitor to doctor, right? And there's a lot of mindset problems there, right? Some people want to be the doctor because they think they'll get out of the rat race faster.
Yeah.
Whereas I've seen Leo get out of 2 roles as a janitor. So it really expands your mind.
Right. In terms of what is important, because if your goal is the trophy house with the trophy wife, bigger is better, even though for those people, they're less happy. Their life's harder because they're working harder for something they don't even actually, once they get it, they don't want it.
Yep.
Versus Robert's focusing on you having more money coming in than whatever your expenses are. And so that is one of the big differences between the different roles that you can play. Is it's easy to say, oh, look, I'm getting a big paycheck. But if you look at the card, you've been a good American and ramped your expenses through the roof. So you've got a bigger hill to climb to get to financial freedom versus the janitor. They don't get paid much, but they haven't made their expenses that big. And so effectively, even though you've got a little less to work with, you've got a much smaller hill to climb. So one of the directions in the real world of that this lets you think about is around this idea of everything we're told is about increasing our expenses, when the reality is that decreasing our expenses will help us with the goal we say we want, even though we're being told, oh, well, you should get a bigger house now that you've gotten a payday, an increase in your payday, versus, no, I should get something that's actually filling my pocket instead of emptying my pocket as part of my strategy.
And one thing I learned personally from playing and hosting is it's funny. It's not funny, but like you see when new people come in and play, they use their normal beliefs.
Right.
Like at first, like the first 2, 3, 4 times that they play, they're playing as if it's their real life, and they're sitting there going in circles, collecting paychecks.
Yep.
And literally, it's what we're doing in real life, and they're not making those moves and taking those risks in the simulator, like you said.
Right. It's only been 1 or 2, but I've had people come in, do that the entire thing, never invest in anything, think that they're successful claiming paychecks and say, thanks, I understand this.
Right.
And I say, no, you don't understand at all of what's going on.
One of the things that I learned playing the game is, like you said, looking at opportunities through multiple lenses, because you can look at that one opportunity and say, and I like the way you put it, Leo, is there's no one right answer.
Correct.
Because you can look at one opportunity and have 4 different ways that opportunity can help you. And then what I know, one of the things that you taught us, Leo, also is if you have that opportunity, if it doesn't fit for you, try and trade that opportunity out to someone else to where it does fit. And you can still gain some passive income from it somehow. So man, you really changed my paradigm.
What you're touching on is, and I think you may say this a lot, Leo, in Monopoly, right? We try to bankrupt all our friends.
Yeah.
I think I just stole it from Leo.
I've heard that from Robert.
Okay. In Cashflow 101, wealth is team sport. In general, in real life it is. And that's how you teach the game.
Right.
And it's like trading off of markets. You can wholesale the card, you can joint venture with people. And how do you work together to help each other get out of the rat race and move on to the next level? It applies in life.
Yes, very much so. The game is not about competition. That's a very view of the world, that there's one job at the top that we're all fighting to get to the top of some pyramid. Once you escape from that view of the world, you understand that we all have separate things that we're trying to accomplish, and there are multiple paths that we can pick to do that way. And often things that are valuable to me are not valuable to you, but the other way around. When there's something, and you can practice even within deals, there are ways to slice the deal to get the things that are important to people. One of the game doesn't have taxes in it, but one of the things I'll talk about is that often you can bring investors in by offering the tax advantage part of the deal, because that's valuable to them, but you're going to take over the active management part of the deal. And so on this very same deal, you can find things to trade off for resources that you need. And even within the game, there are opportunities to look at the flip side versus the cash flow side and be able to build that into separate pieces that solve, oh, I don't have the money to do the game. You have the money. I control the deal. Let's see if we can get you what you want with your capital you're putting in the deal, and get me something, some kind of reward for finding this deal. So that is entirely possible. Similarly, there are even bigger worldviews in terms of, you talked about wholesaling. One of the things that will play with our more advanced ones is taking home mindsets like that, where we'll say any deal you get, you can't spend any of your money on for the whole game. So that you start thinking like a wholesaler. It's easy to read that in the book. It's easy to talk to somebody about it. But until I actually encourage people to, let's play this way, they haven't taken those ideas out and lived them to say, oh, okay, now I understand why you want a buyers and sellers list to get started on this, because that's everything you're doing is looking for things. And similarly, around the idea of finding things that fit what other people are looking for, because there is a choice even within the game of, or am I looking for small properties or big properties in terms of small deal, big deal. And depending on who your investors are, if you're in a wholesaler mindset, you're not pulling a card that you want, you're pulling something that fits what the rest of the table is looking for. And
so being that service provider.
Right. So those shifts.
So when you get into the group and you come a lot and you play a lot, and sometimes you get a group of experienced players, like Leo throws some tricks at you and some disadvantages, but it makes you think. It is, like I said, expands your mind.
So the other part of what we do within that's built into the game is that there is expensive hard money in the game.
So wait, Leo, before we get to that, let's have a brief break, hear a word from our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll talk about some of these strategies and how Leo sets everything up to really change your mind shift and paradigm thinking, so you can look at deals from a different perspective. So let's take a brief break and we'll be right back.
Are your real estate dreams on hold? With work, kids, everything else going on, time is limited. Most days you feel like the world's on your shoulders. You might even say to yourself, if I just had someone to lean on and push me in the right direction, I know things would happen quicker. Well, then you need to check out the Deal Finders Club, a community of investors eager to close more deals, sign more contracts, and just get ahead in life. The DFC provides weekly coaching, thriving online community, and all the education you need to be confident. DFC is your fastest path to closing more deals. To learn more, head over to AZDFC.com. That's AZDFC.com.
So we are back, guys. We're with Leo Scott, and we're talking about Cashflow 101. And for you guys that don't know, this is a game that was created by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And what I want to ask you real quick, Leo, is why is this game important around budgeting? Because this is some of the things that's not taught in our formal education. So why do we have to come outside of the classroom in order to learn this?
That's a good point. What part of what Robert in his books talks about is that we're not taught anything about money and any of the vocabulary that goes with money that the rich get. And one of those is the idea that we keep track of how things are going, and there's the idea of balance sheets and income statements that are part of evaluating our business, of how are we doing and how is the business working. So within the cash flow game, he added the simplified, the one-page version. If you look at the Apple's balance sheet, it's a really big thing. But what Robert did is simplify that down to a one-page piece of paper that we walk through while we're doing the game to keep track of what money's coming in, what money's going out, what are our expenses, what do we need to pay on in terms of loans. All of that is kept track of on the balance sheet that we're playing with. So we will be changing numbers, increasing our income, and seeing that flow down into the money that we're getting to work with each month. Similarly, when we take on debts associated with something that we're buying, we keep track of that, because when we sell it off, we need to know how much do we still owe. And those, again, a simplified but realistic version of those steps that are part of the vocabulary of the rich, what they teach their kids on how this is how you're going to make your life successful, is that this is not something that limits you. This is something that amplifies you, because you know where you are and what's happening because you're keeping track.
So one of the good things about the income and the income statement and the balance sheet is because when you're playing a game and it says, okay, you get to go out and buy a new car. Normally in real life, you're excited. I get to go out and buy a new car. But with the game, you're like, man, this is adding to my debt. I don't want this. I can't get out of the rat race. So it's really applicable how the game interchanges with real life. So that's real important. So what's the overall goal? I know it, Mike knows it, you know it. Kind of explain the goal to the people.
So once you achieve the idea of your passive income paying all your bills, that's the point that you get out of the inner circle, the rat race, as far as the setup, out to the fast track. And this part of the game involves you having picked a dream that you would like to do, because that is a part, again, of successfully managing your life, is having some goal, something that you consider to be important, and not what other people, but you, again, back to your personal achieving what it is that you think is important. So you can either, on the fast track, you can either be able to land on your dream and buy it, or there are advanced investments out there that are the accredited investors in the world of the investing, the people who are allowed to see investments that we don't get to see as ordinary mortals, that are not even offered to this. Part of what Robert puts out on the fast track are examples of the kinds of deals that are available to people that are out, that have achieved financial success. Doors open to you that are
not open,
that the government won't let them share with you. And so that's the bigger outer part of the game, is to be exposed to understanding that these opportunities are there, and if you either successfully acquire enough of them or manage to acquire your dream, then you have won the game. Either of those routes will let you be able to say, oh, okay, yes, I understand this process, And I've been exposed to where I should be trying to map out my life in the real world.
So essentially, the inner circle is getting out of that 9 to 5. How can my income, passive income, exceed my expenses? So if my rent, car note, food expenses, all of that is $6,000 a month, how can I create passive income that is $6,001 a month?
Right.
That way you can leave your job. Once you complete that, now you can start trying to live that dream, which is the fast track. So if you want to move to Bermuda, or if you want to buy 50,000 units or something like that.
What is it that is valuable to you? Because that is the idea of freedom, is not somebody else's idea. It's what is valuable to you. And because, yes, some people want to end up on a beach in Bermuda, and some people want a empire of apartment complexes.
Right.
And neither of those is right. It's what's right for you.
Great point. Wow. A lot of stuff there. All right.
So where can we go to play this game, Leo? Because I think the people are definitely interested, and they should be, because like I said, it mirrors real life. So if you're conservative, because initially I was very conservative when I played, I was kind of like, well, I want to be the doctor. I want to have all of the money. That way I can sit back and relax. But that wasn't the point of the game.
Right.
So for people, where can they go to play this game and really start working?
In addition to the game that AZREIA is starting up now, I also run a game on Tuesday nights and Saturday afternoons here in town that we meet in Mesa. You can go on Meetup and look for Alpha Cashflow on Meetup, and that alpha, like the Greek letter, as far as the first, that was one of the first cash flow groups that the Rich Dad organization helped organize, and that's where the name comes from. And so we meet again every week to practice these ideas. We have both people that this is their first time, and we focus on making first-time visitors comfortable and finding out how to make those first steps, learning and trying these ideas out fun. We also have both experienced players and experienced people in investing, in terms of there are real estate investors that show up, there are business owners, there are people that are doing other ways to find it. So all of these are incredible networking opportunities. That's the other value to the game.
If I could chime in on your game, and so don't get Leo's game confused with the people that come and go. Because a lot of people like to leverage the cash flow game as like a magnet to get people into a room to sell them a $50,000 solar package or whatever.
Yeah.
So do you have any of that for sale at the
No, I do let people know what investing kinds of things I do, and if people want to come to me and ask and deal with me, but I never request any money or have anything to sell you.
So are you saying this is completely free?
Completely free, and I don't have people standing in the back of the room to sign you up. I've been to those cash flow games, so yes, those are real.
So let me ask you one more time, Leo. How much is it?
Zero.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, so with that being said, see at meetup.com, Alpha Cashflow 101 here in Mesa, Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Yep.
Check out Leo. So by going to Leo's game, and I remember being exposed to Cashflow 101, it helped me grow as a real estate investor. So what I liked about that is, even me being now in the business full time, even over the last few years, you get set in your ways, right? You always got to shock yourself. Going to a cash flow game, even though I know how to play, I do it in real life, it keeps you on your toes.
Right.
It gives you aha moments.
That's been one of the biggest surprises to me. Is I have been at some events that Robert set up for cash flow, and they have investors that have come from New Zealand that they're active in real estate. And when you get in the game, they've got their one cookbook thing that they use in real life, and that's all they're good for. It takes the game, even for them, expands their horizon of thinking about, I could add to what I'm doing without adding to the effort of what I'm doing by thinking a little wider about what the opportunities are. And that's one of its values.
Yeah, because from hosting it and playing it through the years, seeing the aha moments, and new people are exposed to this whole investing world, that in itself is worth playing, being at the game.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's what it did for me. So that's why we want to bring it to here to AZREIA. So I want our members to be able to be exposed to this way of thinking and get the practice in until they're comfortable doing it themselves in real life. And I do want to make clear, just like we're seeing the back of the room stuff, I know I truly believe in Robert Kiyosaki's books and the game, right? I know there may be some negative around his licensed out education and stuff like that. So we have nothing to do with that.
Correct.
We're not promoting any of his education that you can buy. This is just free, come learn,
have
fun,
fun,
network, and let's leverage the game, because it is a great game and it will help you.
So one thing I do want to say in closing is, if you're risk averse and you're scared to pull a trigger on some things, this game is really good for that. So you can take those risks in the game that you normally wouldn't take in real life. And you can see how that risk, that decision that you made, how it affected your investment strategy in the game. So if you guys really want that, you want to have some fun, network, get with some other individuals that are like-minded, you guys need to come look up Leo at the Alpha Cashflow group. Go to meetup.com, Alpha Cashflow group. And then also AZREIA is putting on the game also.
Well worth your time wherever you can get the opportunity to get all of these things for free without it being a scary or hard to deal with opportunity. Take the chance and make it happen.
Well, I know you're saying we're wrapping up, Marcus, but even,
sure.
we didn't even touch on, playing with your kids, right?
Absolutely.
This game is easy enough to, like, my son has played, right? And I know
my kids play.
Your kids, like, even the games posted, people bring their teenagers, right? Or even
several last week, a lady brought her teen age and their friends, and they were able to, people that had never ever heard about this, hadn't even thought about investing. We were able to get them playing and enjoying. They asked to come back.
That's huge, because like a rapper Pitbull, right? He always said his mom would always play Tony Robbins tapes, every day on the way to school, and that's how he built his successful mindset. So even if you just take your kids, even if they don't want to come and they just want to kind of play, and they get to hear the conversations, it's in the back of their mind. Hopefully there's some seeds planted. So kids are welcome. Well, not too young. I don't have
not a daycare.
Right.
But so yes, it's a family game too, even if you bought it for your house. So it's great.
So take some time, spend some fun with the kids, with the family, learn investing, learn how to not be risk averse, and how to look at opportunities in a different light. So Leo, I really appreciate you being here. Mike, great man, co-host as always. So AZREIA, great state of Arizona, or wherever you may be, always feel free to go to AZREIA.org to look for any kind of classes, education in regards to real estate investing. And we would love to have you, love to see you. So enjoy your day.
Thanks for listening to the AZREIA Show with your hosts, Marcus Maloney and Mike Delprete. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found this information valuable, head over to AZREIA.org and learn more about our community.